Hello and welcome to Valheim. The Valkyrie just dropped me off and I currently have nothing, so in this video I will show you how to not only survive, but to get a good start and thrive in Valheim in your first few days. So this is Hugin. He will give you some hints and some tips, but I already pretty much know everything he's going to say, so for the most part I'm going to ignore him. The first thing you want to do is look around on the ground, see if you can find any branches and stones nearby. You'll want to collect several of these to get started. I've already spotted a grayling. I've been pretty unlucky and there's not many sticks and an enemy, so I'm going to try to hide from him. It doesn't look like it's going to work, but luckily a single grayling is pretty easy to kill with just your fists. Now, graylings do drop resin, which you'll want some of that early on too. If you don't have branches, you can just punch trees, like a true Viking. Takes a minute though. You want some stone for an axe, but I might just skip it and go straight to flint. You definitely want a club, a hammer, and maybe even an extra torch early on. Those will be necessary for your survival and for gathering resources and building. I'm just going to give her an extra torch. We're probably going to wander around for a little bit until we find a good place to make our first home. So for now we're just going to explore and gather resources. You'll find flint along like river shores or close to the sea, just anywhere where they're next to water. Flint is a good resource early on to make flint axe and also to make arrows. At the beginning of the game, you will want to kill as many deer as possible, but with just torches and fists, it's pretty unlikely you're going to get any. The best way is to craft a bow, which we don't have the resources for yet. Another nice thing to note is graylings take extra damage from fire, even compared to other enemies such as trolls. And as you can see, my first torch is already starting to break. And I just was able to craft a club that'll help me with fighting. The one way you are most likely to kill a deer is if they go into water. Water slows them down significantly, and as long as you're able to wade in it, you can still swing a weapon. But be careful with swimming. As you see, my stamina got down to 4. If it got down to 0, I would start taking damage, and since I only have 25 health, it doesn't take long to die. Swampy areas like this are perfect for finding flint. They're also perfect for hunting necks. Necks are hostile enemies, but they are a good food source, both early on and even later in the game. A spot like this would be good for a base. It's nice and open and close to the shore. Raspberries are probably the first item you're going to get to eat, although maybe mushrooms. You'll definitely want to collect as many of these because they're good for your stamina, but also later in the game they'll be used for health potions. You'll find many small structures like this throughout Valheim. They can sometimes contain chests, but this one does not. Our main goal right now is to gather basic resources and look for such structures, and hopefully we can find some arrows, some gold, feathers, things like that. Sometimes with fighting greylings, you just have to be patient. I'm going to collect several stones. I want them for upgrades, and eventually I want a lot of stones to build walls to protect my base against trolls. I'm going to continue to gather these basic resources and look for a good place to build our base. And here's a black forest. Black forest is the second biome in the game, and at the very beginning, you probably don't want to go in there. Especially at night, because there will be a lot of enemies and trolls will spawn, and without a bow, trolls are very difficult to kill. Now, our first boar. Boars is one of the most important enemies to kill early on in the game. The main reason you want to kill them is for the leather scraps, which you need for crafting several items and for several upgrades as well. If you find any strange rocks like this, you should check underneath them. They often have skeletal remains, which will give you bone fragments. Bone fragments are needed for a few crafting recipes, but also to upgrade armor. And there's another structure over here, so I'll go check it out. And more raspberries. I need those for food. I hear a pig. Some flint and some coins. Not terribly useful right now, but I need everything I can get. And here's a little village. You'll find these around too. Villages are great because you have multiple opportunities for chests. There's often some boars nearby, and there's usually raspberries as well. But I'm going to come into the Black Forest real quick, grab a couple seeds. They'll be nice later once I get bronze. Carrots are a good resource for food and for some potions. Just gonna check all these little houses for chests. Though not every house will have one. Oh, a bee nest. I'll show you the simplest way, easiest way to get yourself a bee nest. Put a crafting bench down, and then just destroy all the building pieces around it, and that way you don't have to hit the bee nest and take damage from the angry bees. Bees are getting the queen bee is very important because that allows you to make a hive. And the hives produce honey, which is a great food source if you need more stamina. Got some arrows, that'll be nice. I'll need those for hunting deer. If you get a sneak attack on a boar, you can usually one-hit it. Same with necks. That's what I just did there. I was able to run up on it before it could detect me fully. This village is surrounded by black forest, so I think I'm just gonna head out. This isn't a good place to build a base. It's too close to trolls. This spot over here looks like the terrain's not even enough to build on. It would take a lot of work, and I don't want to put in that much effort. I'd rather just keep exploring. Another boar, that's good. Need lots of leather scraps. I'm also a little bit too far from the coast. I'd like to be closer, so that way when I can build a ship, I don't have to run forever just to start sailing. As you can see, raspberries are plentiful, which is good because they're very necessary later in the game. On other worlds, I've had a shortage of raspberries, so I would suggest not being afraid to stockpile them. Let's go see what's on the other side of this ridge. It's not a flat enough spot either. I'm gonna read this down real quick. Nothing useful. Basically, that stone is just saying to look at the beauties of Valheim, which, granted, it is a very beautiful game. But I think it's time to explore some more. When I forgot to mark my village, I find it a good idea to mark the villages, especially if ones like that are close to Black Forest. Might be a good launching place later for mining. Okay, it's getting night, and we still don't have a good place. Which means we're probably going to be exposed all night. It'll be a bit of a pain, but with two of us, it shouldn't be a problem at all. I'm just going to split our resources a little bit, because I have more raspberries. And here, I'll show you the technique with the bees again. You'll want as many queen bees as you can get early on, because honey is fantastic. You feel cold. That means it is now officially nighttime. When you're cold, you don't regenerate your stamina as quickly, which of course makes it more difficult to travel, but also to fight. As you may be able to tell already, more enemies spawn at night. Also, having torches is nice. It's easier to find your buddy. Once again, more greylings. They're going to interrupt us a lot more frequently now. And yes, greylings are annoying because they run away. If that happens, sometimes I just ignore them. They're persistent, but easy to outrun. We should be nearing the coast again soon. This is a ship burial. We don't have a pickaxe yet, but when we do, we can dig, and you will often find some buried treasure in them. Here's a great example of finding some necks near the water. Sometimes you'll find them in little groups. Makes gathering food easy. I think now we're just going to continue along this coastline. Some of these wells have chests in them. The first few I found did not, so I didn't look. But eventually I figured out that some of them do. And they'll even have mushrooms. Mushrooms are a food source, but I prefer to wait to save them to tame boars. These boars I'm not going to tame because I want their scraps. So as you can see, we traveled all day and all night and still have not picked out our spot to make our base, and that's okay. It's good to find a good spot. If you don't have a good spot when you start building your base, you're going to waste a lot of time and wish you had traveled later. Over here you can see an Eichler statue. I wouldn't build your base right on top of it, but building one close wouldn't be bad. Just make sure you leave some room for expansion. But if we build over here, it'll make it nice and easy to kill the boss later. I'm annoyed with that pig. So once you gather some 2 deer trophies, you can put them down right there and the boss will spawn. Right here looks like a good spot. It's fairly flat. So I've gathered some more wood and I'm gonna start making our crafting table and get ready to make our house. As you can see, the crafting station needs a roof. I'm gonna gather some more resources first. I'm gonna let 2 of them. But crafting stations are pretty picky. Make sure you have extra wood on you when you first put one down. It's really annoying to try to put one down and build a roof and it's still not work. They need a roof and they need to not be exposed. So put some walls around it. Yeah, there we go. This is what you need right here. As you see, now I can access it, repair my items. I can craft more things now. And as I upgrade it, I'll be able to craft even more. So I'm going to just skip stone axe and go straight to flint. It cuts down trees faster. And it's definitely worth the investment. I'll need to gather more flint later so I can upgrade it. But anyway, that's how you get started in Valheim. The next thing to do is gather resources and build a house. So, thank you for watching, and see you next time.